we move on to our next session, which is the panel discussion. I request our team to please set up the stage for it. The topic for this panel discussion coming up is the risk-ready collections framework. And in this, we will be answering some questions like, how can lenders build collection strategies that are resilient to credit cycles and macroeconomic shocks? What is the approach to build a proactive collections framework and how effective it has proven to be so far? How are the advancements in data analytics and AI helping in making collections more robust and efficient? How are lenders today benefiting from increased visibility and actionable insights to align their collection strategies for risk management? With regulations evolving rapidly, how is technology helping lenders in managing compliance in collections? And finally, we'll be answering the question, how are bank startup collaborations shaping the future of collection strategies? So this one's going to be a very interesting one indeed. And I'd like to invite our expert panelists on stage, please. This session will be moderated by Mr. Sumit Gawshinde, Head of Collections at Varthana. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you, sir, for joining us. We'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Ashok Ojha, Chief Collections Officer at TVS Credit. Can we have a big round of applause, please, for Mr. Ashok Ojha and TVS Credit being one of our partners. We'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Anand Agrawal, co-founder and CPTO at Credgenics, our presenting partner. Can we have a big round of applause, please, for Mr. Anand Agrawal, co-founder and CPTO at Credgenics. And we'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Hitesh Sachdev, Head of Startup Engagement, Innovation and Investments at ICICI Bank. A big round of applause, please, for Mr. Hitesh Sachdev. So with that, I hand over the discussion to our moderator, Mr. Sumit, and have this discussion on the risk-ready collections framework. We're waiting for the gentleman from Credgenics. If they can hear me, then requesting them to please join us. The gentleman from Credgenics who's on the panel. Mr. Anand Agrawal. He's the co-founder and CPTO at Credgenics. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so with that, I hand over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So as the afternoon is growing, people will have need of a tea. But in that, we take the opportunity to interact with each other. So the subject of us is risk-ready collection framework. Yeah. So this reminds me of a very popular web series which has came recently on Harshad Mehta SKM 92. Risk hai to ishq hai. So this is what we all deal day in and day out with the risk involved in the market. Collection, of course, when we deal with going with the customer, in the changing dynamic environment, most of the people are seasoned here. So you would have seen that what all has used to happen earlier, now things have changed. We have all seen people doing gundagardi. Whenever the impression of a collection guy comes, a rough guy. I'm sure none of us is looking like rough, or nobody here is looking like rough. But that's what is the impression of everyone in the market about that. But now things have evolved. Now we are AI-assisted people. We are moving fastly towards that. So on this note, let us start the discussion on that, how we manage it. So let me introduce myself, and then we can have introduction of everyone. I'm Sumit Gawshinde. I'm heading collection with a company called Varthana Finance Private Limited. So we are basically one of the largest school funding companies in India. Prior to that, I was working with institutions like Kotak Mahindra Bank and ICICI Bank. So that's about me. So if you can just tell more about you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Anand Agrawal. I am one of the founders at Credgenics. We are India's leading debt resolution platform. We work with almost 150 plus customers out there in the lending segment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashok Ojha, and I'm handling collections at TVS Credit. Close to 6.5 years I am in TVS, and We deal in all the kind of financing, from wheels to consumer finance to MSME, and now we have forayed into the gold loans also. Before TVS Credit, I worked with Tata Motor Finance for 11.5 years, and before that I was with Citi. Looking forward for this risk-ready collection framework, because there are many things which risks do, but how collection has to be the risk-ready, that is what our topic of discussion is, and let us see what we contribute in this. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Hitesh Sachdev. I work with ICICI Bank and I manage startup investments, startup engagements, partnerships with startups, and innovation lab at ICICI Bank.
Thank you for your introduction. So I can see various arenas of experience in terms of expertise here, available here on that. So when we talk about risk-ready collection framework, so it is more, there are various kind of risk involved. What we know about the risk, other than that also we have various risks which are hidden. So every case is different, every scenario is different, and there might be different risks getting evolved and involved in every scene. So I'll tell my own example into that and my experience. Since we deal into schools, so with us there is a risk called emotional risk. When we go to take possession of a property, there are so many parents available there to restrict that. So that's a new risk which comes. There would be some technological risk coming into that. They are dealing into two-wheelers where the even moving vehicle has to be seized. There were different risks. Sir, with ICICI, with a bunch of that. Yeah. So I would appreciate the way this topic has been chosen, the risk-ready collection. So my personal opinion is we are never ready for that, but we are ever ready for that. And this is what is the dynamism of collection. We are expected to be ready, and moreover to that is in last, I would say more into post-COVID scenario, a finance company is good finance company who collects well. Prior to that, the definitions were different, that people who can lend well can be survived. But now, the equally important is to collect. So all the gentlemen sitting here have a lot of weightage and say in their own organizations. So that's how it is. So I would start with, sir, the first question to you is, how does this banks and NBFC should adopt the continuous improvement and the adoption in collection, risk management, and what should be our approach in this dynamic environment, which is earlier used to change yearly, but now I would say daily.
So I can take this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for you only.
What you have explained, Sumit, is really correct, that one who can collect well today will survive better, and that we saw during the COVID scenario. So risk is fluid. It can be economic change, it can be political, regulatory, anything which we see can cause us risk. And there can be a credit risk, there can be a reputational risk, there can be a process risk, but overall above all there is a market risk as well. But how to handle it is by doing the right data segmentation, having been tech enabled. Then it is also about a collaborative approach overall, and then doing the scenario modeling. When I talk about the scenario modeling, what I mean is that every organization goes through a certain phase where there are events in the organization, and those events have to be captured very readily to understand that what has caused. Like if we look back just now, we have 2-3 events were there. COVID was an event, demonetization was an event, right? To some extent, then there was a 2008 economic gloom which was there. That was the event. What we have learned basis that. And these are the historical data scenario which can help us to be risk ready. At the same time, how to look at the risk at hand, what is present. Is there any market change which has happened? Is the customer's behavior changing suddenly because in a certain micro market? How we are ready for that? But doing this is not enough unless and until we go to a completely cause and effect analysis of this. Cause and effect analysis will help us to understand that there is a situation which can arise, and how quickly we are going to take actions based on that will give us that edge over others. One example can be in COVID. Those people who have looked at a customer differently and have made a customer relations better have been able to come back more quickly than others. So in a nutshell, right data approach with a complete understanding of what evolving around us will make us risk ready. And in this dynamic scenario, when we see the scenarios changing very quickly, we need to have a very, very agile collection strategy. We don't need to be completely like one fit approach. It can change market to market, geography to geography, customer to customer approach also can change.
Absolutely. As Mr. Ashok has rightly pointed out, my next question to you, Mr. Anand, is today we can see Mr. Ashok talking about dynamism, everything and those all. But few years back, him and people like me and many of people like here were not so dynamic. We were more into our traditional approach towards collection and those all. What were the challenges you faced to bring this phase in collection professionals, and I would say systematically also and approach wise also? And how do you see the future in this?
Yeah, thank you for this question. So traditionally, if I talk about collections, it was mainly manual driven, but at the same time, there were point solutions. There were different point solutions for different use cases. For example, either for communications, there were multiple partners who you would work with. For maybe contact center solutions, there were on-prem setups which were done for dialing through GSM lines. And there were different point solutions which were used in order to fulfill those collection requirements. No team were interacting with each other with respect to achievement on the collection numbers. Contributions to like which activity has led to this collections was tough to judge. So I think those were like different set of things which has happened. For example, like in the FOS team only, when we brought a mobile first approach in order to do the collections, which is solely and kind of fully integrated into end-to-end debt collection platform, which provides you not just communication to calling to like on-ground field collection to legal. End-to-end journey of a borrower who is in the delinquent account or bucket could be achieved right from DPD1 to a write-off stage or a collection stage. Either one of those could be achieved through once. The visibility becomes much more clearer for that person. The FOS guy, whenever we would go on the ground, would do it on maybe on a manual setup or on an Excel. Suddenly had to be kind of there on a mobile application. So the resistance would be natural because now he's thinking I'm getting tracked. Somebody is looking at where am I going, how much have I traveled on a daily basis, am I giving my 100% efficiency or not? And at the end of the day, whether the collection is reciprocal to the efforts which I am kind of putting in there, or is there something which I'm manipulating in between? So I think for us, transparency was important in that system. We wanted things to be more transparent from what the activities of the agent is doing. Now, in order to fulfill his side of the story that they don't feel that they are being tracked, can we bring agent performance mechanism in a real-time setup for them? If ever they have done one visit, there are some points added for them. If he's done a collection, his performance kind of goes up in the hierarchy so that he knows there is an incentive payout done at the end of the month, which I don't realize 20 days later past the previous month for all the activities I did the last month. But rather in real time, I'm getting to know where do I stand in the leaderboard, and enabling that was kind of an experience for us and bringing like a technology-based solution for use cases like this.
Wonderful. So, what you said is the paradigm shift which you are driving in the system. So, my next question is to Hitesh sir, who comes from a company which is can be called as the forefathers of modern banking, ICICI Bank. I mean, I am also an ex-ICICI, so I know the culture over there. So, sir, gentleman has pointed out few points here that these changes, those all are. So a large institutions like you would have also gone through the changes in this new environment. So at the scale of yours, what are the challenges you faced and how did you overcome to that? And adding up to that, what resulted it to you? Positively, negatively, or very neutrally?
Yeah. Thanks. ICICI Bank is known as a CEO factory. And, it's an
Yeah.
entrepreneurial culture which it's known for. I've been with the bank for 23 years. So, to your question, see, while certain things you do it by choice and certain things there are compulsions, right? So one of the biggest again area where a lot of compulsion came in was that earlier the kind of collection practices which organizations used to deploy, right? And now there are a lot of regulatory, I would say, framework within which you have to operate and you have to do collections. So today you can't, and then when you do largely, let's say it is manual or through agents, right? Many times you end up violating some of those frameworks. And as a bank, we always feel that we never would want to be on the other side of the compliance framework. So that way, if you are able to deploy, let's say, tech and digital, I think you would have much better control in terms of what communication you are doing with your customers, timing of the communication, frequency of the communication, right? So that's, I would say, it's more from the regulatory and compliance perspective. The second part is about the two aspects, cost of collection and collection efficiency, right? These are the two things which drives your overall metrics in whatever you do, right? So from the cost perspective also, if you look at today with AI calling, so many times, and then we do a lot of bucketing also in terms of which customers would be better off in terms of calling or follow up through legal recourse or manual collection, right? So there are different ways of bucketing customers. And then basis that we are trying to see that how digital tools, deployment of digital tools have helped us to improve collections efficiencies by, at least 25-30% and cost reduction by 40%. And, with Credgenics, we've been working and fabulous results, phenomenal results we have got, right, in terms of efficiency, in terms of the cost, right? So these are the prime factors for driving and adopting digital. The other aspect is at the scale at which you want to operate, right? And every state, in India we say that we are one country, but yeah, it's
We are many countries within
we
one
have many
country.
countries within one country. So every state has a different dialect, different culture, and the strategies are more local many times, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you create a combination of that local strategy and also try to operate at a national level? That is one challenge, right? Which I think we have overcome by way of adopting digital, multilingual, different languages, and trying to standardize a lot of stuff. Plus, some of the policies which we are following, for example, we don't believe in, let's say, in vehicles, we are not repossessing vehicles. For us, we believe that one, you should not lend to a customer where there is a need arise to, do collections. Someday we want to be a bank where there is no collection department, and you will be not happy with this, but yeah, but with your help only we'll do it. So, we can imagine where. So, how do we create more and more predictions on our, portfolios? Can you predict delinquencies much before, much better, and then do preemptive work on those things? Whether once account flows into delinquency, right? It's a very costly thing to bring it back
Yeah,
to normal. So how do you make all the efforts to prevent before it becomes delinquent? So there again, a lot of tech and digital we are using in terms of predicting which of our customers or borrowers will kind of default, and how do you prevent before it goes into, if you can put larger part of efforts before it becomes delinquent, I think then you save a lot of cost, and also in terms of efficiency also is better. So these are a couple of things we have been implementing and they are working well for us.
Definitely. Thank you for the insights. It was really valuable. One thing which you said, that what has changed in last few years, the regulatory framework. RBI has become very stricter now and everybody is facing, actually, I mean, from this side, if you see, we are facing the pain of that. On the other side, customers are getting leverage of that. And because of that, what has happened that people are taking wrong advantages of that also. This is also happening. This is one side, a pain which a collection professional handles is nobody is understanding on the other side. It is very easy for anyone to pick a finger on my collection agent, but nobody is listening to his pain, because he is not welcomed anywhere. In office also he comes, his boss says, boss, tu ja customer ke paas baith. And when he goes to the customer, he is not welcomed. So customer will not welcome him. Yeah, so he is not welcomed at anywhere. And he is also a human being. Please understand, he is a very ground level guy. He'll go by two-wheeler, he'll go by a public transport. So at some point of time, his mental state might go wrong. I'm not justifying that he is right, but we'll have to understand the other side of the story also. And here, another good thing what has happened is, earlier there were so many loopholes or say black holes in terms of communication with the customers. So now one good part what I see from the regulation, that we organizations have started communicating with customers fairly. Yeah, so that is one good thing which has happened. So my next question to you, sir, is that this communication with the customer, how can it makes us more effective in terms of understanding the risk involved into collections and getting ready in that?
Yeah. So I will start, Sumit, with something what you said about that the collector is not welcomed anywhere, neither in the office nor at the customer place. So look from that angle. If you look the environment around here, people are talking about Gen AI, large language model, digital, everything going digital. But there is one side of agent calling and digital method, but the field is also a reality as of now, whereas a large people are deployed in the field to collect. For us, many things have changed over a period of time in the last 20 years. We have fancy dashboards, we are able to analyze better and everything. But what has changed for them? The only one thing which has changed is that instead of receipt book, now they have a collection app. Which
also, the collection app which is there more to control them.
Control them.
Yeah, where is he going, what is he doing, and those all things. It's not more of facilitating, it is for more of facilitation of the higher-ups who can track them better way.
So I am going to that only. You have touched upon the right point. Now, how we can make the life of those collectors at the same time, how we can be more risk ready because of the effort which they are putting in the field. I will take a very simple example, a very field perspective example. Suppose someone in an organization has deployed 5,000 people overall in the calling and field combined, and we are having 7 customer touch base or contact in a day. So if you look at in a month, it will be somewhere around some 9 lakh customer touch base, if you will calculate it. With these 9 lakh customer contact base and the feedback what we are getting, are we able to use it as an organization to be risk ready? We are doing that, but only as and when required. We are not able to utilize this kind of feedback which is coming from the horse's mouth. Like if you go and read all those customer perspective, when a collector goes to a customer or speaks to a customer, the response which comes can give us a lot of trigger which can go circle back into the credit, risk, RCO, as well as for strengthening the collection as well. I think more of a, like 9 lakh database, I have said it's not a large database, but I'm just taking a small example. For these kind of things to strengthen, I think a very Gen AI at the same time, a large language model is required to throw that kind of understanding so that it becomes more executable and that data becomes more consumable for us, so that we take the right and swift action at the right time. This is for the one part which organization will, it will help the organization. The other part is how we are helping them to understand that with all these, where we have to put the right effort, which customer they have to put the right effort, what is the intensity which is required, what timing is required. These are the things which I think we need to take it at the next level. Today we have seen so many years, examples here where we have seen about the Gen AI and all the capability of the bots and all. But someone needs to work on this, and we were sitting here. We need to work on this, that how we can make these things more sharper so that it becomes more consumable and executable from the collection perspective. Apart from this, these things also, this customer communication can become a good tool to understand how our collector behavior is, like what he was saying about the regulatory risk and all. Any negative kind of thing can be detected early to act upon so that we completely safeguard ourselves as an organization.
Absolutely. So now let me just move ahead with some topic. So gentleman is here. So we are like from the one generation behind of these guys, the tech savvy guys. So I had asked few questions from you guys on your, based on your experience. Now let me ask you one thing. How do you see, or where do you see next 3 years in collection? I'm taking 3 years because what I'm trying to see, 5 years will be a very, very long thing. Yeah, and in fact, when we were reading this news and all, like Israel-Iran kind of conflict going on, we don't know what will happen tomorrow in the global scenario. So,
Yeah,
in fact, even 3 years, if you want to reduce this, you can. It is up to you.
No, I think
At your
obviously
choice.
nobody can judge the future or decide what it will be. But obviously where we are progressing is what we can always talk about. Where is collection moving towards, and what's next in the collection, because everybody looks up to what's new coming up. I think earlier from point solutions to integrated solutions to automation within the solutions, where could it be like a lot of activities which is manually done be handled by digital approaches. We don't have to interact with every borrower who is in the delinquent bucket. Can that be filtered out wherever there is no manual intervention required, or wherever there is some sort of manual intervention required? I think we have reached to that journey of our like collections, and I think that has taken about like a decade in order to even reach here. So it's always going to be like evolving and a journey to follow in the future ahead. But I think few things which we look forward to ourselves and from like Credgenics point of view. One is definitely account aggregator. I know everybody would be wanting to hear about Gen AI, LLM, and all of those. I'll kind of come down to that as well. But talking realistically in terms of what's right next to like available with us is account aggregator framework, which is available now across banking ecosystem, with the banks kind of integrating with that more and more. We have heard the adoptions has kind of skyrocketed in the recent times. People's consent in order to accept whether they want to provide their access of account aggregator, that is picked up really well. The moment that happens, collections becomes much easier for such customers, because now you have visibility for these customers, not just from what activities is done from a collection standpoint in a retrospective way, but rather proactively understanding the customers about what all he has, where all the payments are kind of going. Can we prioritize, restructure those? Is the new arena where everybody would look up to from a collections dynamics. Obviously, there are, we keep hearing about bots, and like, I think Gen AI is that next word where we have moved away from NLP-based bots or flow-based bots to let a bot decide what the answer should be. We should train on different set of questions, and then the answer should be trained on how we want to answer from a lender's perspective to that particular question. There are obviously general FAQs, but there are certain rules and regulations which every bank has with respect to their lending part, and also the agreement which says that certain sort of aspects should be followed in accordance to that. So I think that bot itself will try to kind of cater to a lot of questions which people have, even manual calls which are done by agents. A lot of times they are also not able to answer those questions because you can say a gap in the training, or you can say the inefficiency in order to train so many agents at the same time. It's just humanly not possible to train everybody with all aspects of information and expect him to remember that while answering that question when a customer asks them. So that's why I think those Gen AI based bots is going to replace those inefficiencies which are existing today even when a human call is made, because these bots do not forget. If you have made them to learn, they will remember it and answer in accordance to that. I think it depends on how much training and how much learning that bot has gone through over these collection calls over a period of time and different use cases. They will be able to cater these use cases in a very kind of modernized way, you can say. The other third aspect which yet nobody has kind of begun on the collections use case is the agentic automation. When I say agentic and not like a bot or AI, I'm using a word automation there, because we are saying there is a lot of activities which it digitize, a lot of activities which can be handled without any manual intervention, but the intelligence in order to say what is to be activated first and the response of that, what is to be taken up second. We keep talking about we should draw flow diagrams, but are those flow diagrams perfect? Can you create like n cross n kind of a flow diagram for all possibilities of what first activities to be done and what should be followed by next? It's again a very hard job for us to do it. But for a agentic bot, learning different sort of activities in a n-dimensional world, it could decide basis the first set of like trigger, what should be the second, and that would be the most optimized way to kind of interact with that customer. So I think that's the third aspect which would start kick in. I think we are kind of already working on that. I think that is where we all would be kind of looking forward to in terms of collections.
Excellent. So I can see a lot there kept in your bucket for the future. Let me do a litmus taste of that with one of the largest customer-based bank here, ICICI. So, sir, how do you see, like, these are new generation startup kind of thing, people are collaborating in collection. As you said that initially you got good results with people like Credgenics. Going forward in near future, how do you see these collaborations will be effective for you, and how do you see this AI, analytics, and these are changing the framework and the way you guys do the collection?
Yeah. See, as a large organization, a large institution, you have large customer base and you have that brand power. And when you work with startups, startups bring in those agility and innovation, right? And I believe that if we combine both this, it's a win-win situation. And collaboration, it's not about who's better, who's not better, but working together jointly, if we bring all the strengths together, you can create a win-win situation, and that's win-win is for the startup, for the bank, and for the customer as well, right? So that's the approach with which we have been working with startups. For us, it is never about competing, it is always about collaborating. And these partnerships have worked really well for us. So, if you want to grow, one way is organic way of growth where you keep building your branches, your infrastructure, your people. The other way of growing is also partner with startups, use their tech, use their platforms, whether it is to distribute your products, whether it's to use them to improve your processes, decongest your processes, bring in efficiency, right? So I think collaboration is the mantra here. Yeah. See, the kind of benefit which we have, and I already alluded the fact that we have hugely benefited working with startups like Credgenics. Uh, Here there are many areas, where there are expertise which one creates by working on that particular area, right? And then you become master of it. So within, as I told you, the predictive analytics, for example, there AI can play a huge role, and if you are able to create more and more better predictive analytics on your portfolio, I think you can bring your losses to the minimal. The second aspect about communication, that's another big area where communicating with the customers within the defined framework of the law, but at the same time using the right communication channel and communicating right messages, whether it is legal notice conveying or whether it is calling to the customer and calling through AI calling, where you are able to measure the sentiments, measure the tones of the discussions, right? Very important. Other aspect is creating a lot of information on the borrower who has defaulted. If you are able to correlate a lot of information, whether that information would be in terms of the borrower having some properties, some other assets, right? If this information is available to you, with you, I think your collection efficiency goes up. You're able to better negotiate. So all these aspects, we are working with different sets of startups
Certainly.
and using their tech. And likewise, we are also bringing domain knowledge, right? Domain knowledge is also very important, where so much of data you have, models cannot be built without data, right? So you have so much of data on which all these models are getting built. So I think this combination, it's a win-win partnership for both startup and the bank.
Absolutely. So, sir, my next question to you is, we all spoken about all our internal things which are in our control. Let me take it to the next level for whom we all are doing is for customers. So with a customer delight or good customer experience, maintaining all these collection efforts, technologies, and with all these internal things keeping into that, end of the day, what we want is a customer delight. And this is what is the most important aspect of the growth of any organization. How can we keep a balance in all these things, specifically in this dynamic environment where even customer is smart now?
Right. So, first of all, we need to have a clear data segmentation which will give you the right understanding of the customer. Customer understanding, customer sentiment, customer problem, what it is. And what he just was mentioning, that communicating with the customer in the right way is the key. So we need to have empathy also, and a right customer-centric approach needs to be there. But it is not always an ideal scenario, to be very frank. But it is also not that there are 100% of the problem. So we need to very clearly segment what is our Pareto problem. Like if you look at, you will see that 80% of the problem has only some 20% of the cause. So how we are getting that Pareto analysis done to have because in a base, there will always be customers who will be happy customers. There are collections, whatever it will not come more than 10%. And those 10%, what we are discussing about, the 90% have a delight, the 10% how we can make them more delight to have a 100% score. That is how we need to look at. And for these 10%, my thing is that we need to have a completely total quality management in our collection approach. And that starts from the pre-due calling, bouncing, what communication channel we are adopting, what is the kind of messaging we are doing, and how we are looking the default with different scenarios. Sometimes it can be intentional, sometimes it can be situational also.
True.
Sometimes it can be because of some business failure. Are we looking at all those things in that perspective to have that balance to create that customer delight, including recovery?
Absolutely. So I always say that there are only two types of defaulters. One is incidental and one is intentional. There is no third kind of defaulter. So
on that point, that you talked about emotions of a collection manager, right? I think it is the other way true for customers as
Customer
well.
also, very true.
And if you're able to, sometimes I would not say, but empathy, right?
Empathy, yeah, that's the right word.
That also works
Yeah, absolutely.
better many times where you are able to actually recover
When there are
instead
incidental
of force,
defaulters.
instead of
Yeah, yeah,
force,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, very true.
And sometimes if you are able to become a guide or a coach to someone who has defaulted in terms of how to help them to bring, their
Yes, yes,
financial
absolutely.
discipline on track, I think that really works well.
And I'm sure each one of us have so many examples we would have faced
Yeah.
personally and guided people to,
To-
and
to-
they are still thankful to us.
Exactly.
Everyone will have those kind of personal examples in that. So, rather the last question from you is that we see a lot of compliance related challenges. How do you see a technology helping organizations to overcome those kind of challenges?
Yeah, I think compliance is closely related to customer experience also, because it's not just protecting a lot of things, but at the same time, are we kind of getting the customer experience in check or not? And that's something which is closely related. That's again our belief, and have worked from a very different perspective. In order to achieve that, I think we should have an ecosystem where not just the lenders and the borrowers, but also the agencies or like the collection teams who are on ground, on field, different centers, could all of that come under one single ecosystem to work? Because the moment you have a unified system where the lenders are able to access that, the borrowers are getting notified or having all the communications through that same system, and the agents or the people who are on the execution side are able to access the information from the same system. You can place a lot of controls on such systems. The moment you break that system into multiple points where, let's assume the lender is wanting to do collections, he has to shift that data to some other platform of an agency, and the agency wanting to do some sort of collections on ground by a field agent, he again needs to move that data to some other agents through an application or through maybe like to some means. And the way the data gets shipped from one location to another, the compliance breach happens. That's why I think that ecosystem in itself is something which technology can enable by bringing the lenders, the collectors and the borrowers under one roof, and protect not just the PI information, but a lot of frauds which happen because of excess of such information at the last leg. Because not everybody is kind of going to act as what you want. Some people do happen to kind of do this at the last leg, and in order to control that, can you remove the excess at the source itself? Rather than implementing SOPs and a lot of processes at the end which could control this, could you at the same time remove the visibility of the PI information, allowing them to access to those borrowers in a direct way without an application or a platform like meant for a collections platform? Then in that case, I think a lot of things could come, be controlled and come under like one roof, easily accessible, easily maintainable.
So you mean to say we'll have to create a niche combination between man and machine?
Correct. I think that's one thing which we
yeah.
can look
So
at. Yeah.
now my next question to Hitesh sir is, the last question to you sir is, in collection field, the very famous man versus machine conflict is coming on now. So how a large organizations like you, how do you manage it?
I would put it differently, right? And I always ask this question, and maybe audience also let me ask this question. How many of you believe that AI will replace humans? Nobody. 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 Okay. Yeah. So whatever we do, 10%, 20%, 50% or 80% of the work we do can be replaced by AI.
Not absolutely.
Not maybe 100%, but the degree of efficiency which will come in, because AI will do that 20%, 30 or 50% job 1,000 times better than human, right?
Absolutely.
So overall, we say that AI will not take your job. but the person who knows how to use AI will definitely take your job, right? So somewhere we all have to continuously upgrade ourselves. Second, it's all about efficiency. You know, from the time, if we look at history, 30 years, 40 years also, we have been continuously bringing efficiency and evolving,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Change or get changed.
So, and then we still, new jobs have been created,
Yeah.
new opportunities have come up.
Absolutely.
So, the way to look at it is that how do we adopt technology rather than, you know, worried about it or objecting to it. At the same time, upgrade ourselves and ensure that our workforce, our manpower, human talent get used for better jobs, right? And many areas will emerge as we move forward.
Absolutely.
And many new jobs will emerge, right? If you, 10 years back, influencer category nahi tha kuch, right? And today,
So
they are
what-
minting
so-
huge amount of content. I mean, nobody would have
So
imagined
what I understand and take it from you on a lighter note कि यहाँ जो लोग बैठे हैं उनकी job secure है. At least for next
if
many years.
if they are in the upgrade mode.
Yeah, absolutely,
If
absolutely.
they are
sir.
in the upgrade
Sir,
mode.
I mean,
Yeah.
since we are running out of the time, I would like to take a concluding remark from you in 30 seconds from each one of you.
Yeah, so again, I would elaborate on the fact that, see, at the end of the day, tech is an enabler, and more and more enabling ecosystem it will create for all of us. So, still people are, you know, hooked on to their traditional methods. There are startups like Credgenics and many others who are kind of helping digitize, helping, building a lot of predictive analytics. I think we all should use those tools and, ensure that we are up the curve there.
Thank you, sir.
I think a lot of development we are seeing in collections, and in collections, the way it has transformed in the last 4-5 years, I think it has started become very, very tech savvy. The best of the people are coming in. We are seeing a lot of startups who are giving this. As an organization, we are adopting all this. The way to go is to be digital. There is no doubt about it. And AI, whatever, it will not replace humans certainly, but it's certainly going to be the large database which we always consume in collections. AI and LLM are the models which we need to look at, that how it is going to help us in future.
Yeah, I think I'm personally excited about the whole modeling space, the account aggregators, kind of opening up the new avenues of collections. Because if you see post-COVID, a lot of companies have not just tried to solve collections from a holistic perspective, but also on individual use cases within the collections, there are different companies which have come up and trying to solve that problem statement. So I think given so much of focus and so much of effort has come in the ecosystem, not just from like the users, but also now the providers. Obviously, such ecosystem and such provider ecosystem would enable us to evolve faster, because then there is a sense of competition as well in our minds. Also to be kind of always to be at the forefront of collection, allow us to kind of discover more and more approaches and find out newer ways to do such activities which could automate and digitize many of these processes.
Thank you. Absolutely. It was really wonderful taking insights from all of you. I would, I started with a web series quote, and I will end it with a quote of a movie called Rocket Singh, the Salesman of the Year. It says, risk to Spider-Man bhi leta hai, aur hum to salesman hai. I would change it as a collection man. Thank you. Any questions from anyone? I think we are done. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Great moderation as well. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Well, let's have a big round of applause, please, for our esteemed panelists for that very, very wonderful discussion. And thank you, sir, for moderating it so beautifully. And with that, now we have our next panel coming up. So gear up for yet another interesting session. And capturing the moment with a wonderful photograph. Thank you so much.